This is how you can take your user skill to the next level. Usering is one of the biggest factors in playing great defense, and everybody should be usering with a middle linebacker over the middle of the field. And right here, I wanted to share with you guys 2 little mini tips that will make your usering even better. And so the first mini tip is to use the strafe feature. If you're not familiar, strafing is simply after the ball is snapped, you can hold down the left trigger or L2 and it will keep your user squared up to the quarterback. This is probably one of the most underrated features in the entire game. People don't think about that much because when you strafe, you can't run nearly as fast as you can when sprinting. But in this game especially, it is crucial that you actually have your user facing the quarterback. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen players try to intercept a ball, but because their back is to the ball and to the quarterback, their user is not able to turn around and actually animate to get an interception. And so when you are using in coverage, please get used to holding down the left trigger or L2 in order to keep your user strafing. And remember, you don't have to strafe at all times. You can sprint around some and then turn around and strafe and then sprint again and then strafe again. You don't have to be holding it down the whole time, but use it strategically. And especially as you see your opponent about to throw the ball or as the ball is coming in, use that strafe button to make sure you can actually intercept the ball. Now, the second mini tip for usering is anticipate your opponent's read progression. And so if your opponent was doing something like this, where they are sending a deep cross from one side, and then they are also having a backside dig route come in, this is where you need to anticipate your opponent's read progression, because obviously you may naturally want to run with the deep cross, and that's perfectly fine. But if you run with that deep cross long enough, eventually your opponent's just going to go ahead and take that deep dig route over the middle in that space that you vacated. And so if you want to really user like a pro, what you want to do is anticipate your opponent's route combo. And what that means is you will initially want to user with the crosser here, but then as you're guarding it, you want to be scanning elsewhere on the field and look at what other routes are about to come open. And if you see a route about to come open, you want to break off the route you're currently guarding to go ahead and take that next route. It's a little bit of a gamble. It's a little bit high risk, high reward, because of course, if you break off the original route you're on and then your opponent throws to it, you could give up some yards. But if you think about it from the perspective of your opponent, if they are trying to throw to this crosser and they see your user running with it, they're going to be like, okay, well, the crosser's not open. Let me look for something else. And so you are trying to match their thought process and match their read progression and jump in front of the route they want to throw next. And so, all right, guys, so I made a quick cut in the video because I only have 2 hands and using 2 controllers has been kind of tough, but I want to show you guys some good reps of what I'm talking about. And so if we go ahead and snap this ball, we're going to initially run with the crosser, but as we see that dig route coming over the middle, we're going to jump in front of it and try to get the interception. And that's all there really is to it, is you initially guard one route, in this case, the crosser, and we're on the crosser, and we basically show our opponent that it is covered. You see we're running like well in front of it. Our opponent would then say, okay, let's go back down to the crosser. And so they start throwing. They don't even realize that we're turning around to run after it because we're all the way up here still guarding the crosser. So they're already starting their throwing motion, but we are already breaking on the ball. And now we are in front of it. And, you know, if this game was better, that would be an interception. Of course it wasn't, but that's okay. We are still there in position to make a play. And so those are 2 huge keys to usering like a pro is 1, using the strafe button strategically, and 2, anticipating your opponent's read progressions. And if you can do that, you will force way more turnovers when you're on defense.